Hi, welcome to the Red Booth Show. Tonight's episode features Mark Holzum. He's an actor that's been in some short films and has also been on a TV show and has a new feature film coming out. So check out our interview.
They got their own rules, their own laws, their own justice. You live buried back in these hills long enough, you start to follow them, live by them, die by them. Eventually you become an animal. Survival of the fittest, right? If I don't get out now, I never will.
So hi, Mark.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Very good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it'd be really neat to have you because there's so many people that obviously want to come to Los Angeles and get into the acting business.
Right.
So you've been doing very well at that, I must say.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in February.
Wow, how do you like it out here?
It's really awesome. It's been a journey for sure, figuring out just the business itself and the fact that it is a business. Like back in St. Louis, I was just doing anything that I could to act, doing theater, doing whatever, and then I joined with the agency there, and then it was just, I wasn't really sure how to then turn it into a living, if that was possible. But LA is the place to try and make that happen, so.
So you just decided to pack your stuff and move to Los Angeles?
Pretty much, yeah. I graduated from college, from St. Louis University, and then I ended up shipping my car out because he is old. And then I just took a one-way flight. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know that you've done some short films, and those, actually, one of them was in St. Louis, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the first projects that you were doing, I guess?
I can definitely do that. So the one that was in St. Louis is called Under the Grove.
Cool.
And it's funny because I did like a couple of things. I did my first feature in St. Louis, and then I came out here, and then I ended up going back, and I've gone back twice to St. Louis to film things. So Under the Grove
That's so funny.
Yeah, right. We filmed in like the woods, and it deals with, there's a big meth problem in Missouri.
Really?
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
Wow.
It's like the number one meth producer in the United States.
Are you kidding?
Who knew? Yeah, right.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but I'm from St. Louis, so that, I mean, like, there's not as much there, but it's more like as you go down into the South and that kind of area.
Well, I know, I was telling you I have a lot of family on my dad's side over there, so
Right.
I had no idea, though. I had no idea.
You better look out. But it deals a lot with that culture, and I play the lead who is, he's in high school, and he's trying to figure out what he wants in this life, and he feels kind of trapped by this place, because it's small town, and we filmed in this place called Annapolis, Missouri, and I mean, even that town, not fictionally, it was like population 300. So it's super small, and they've got like one sheriff, and so when things go down, it just takes a long time for things to happen.
Wow.
So it's him trying to figure out how to get out. Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Well, that's awesome. So you came out here, and then how did you first like decide to approach getting into acting in Los Angeles?
I came out here with, I was still repped by my agency in St. Louis, and then I also had a manager who was like doing bi-coastal stuff. She did stuff here and then in St. Louis, and then occasionally like New York and North Carolina. And so I came out knowing them, but it was just a different animal in terms of figuring out the agency game here, because no one knows who, you know, the agency is in the Midwest out here. We've got a lot of big names, a lot of big things. And so ultimately, I mean, I got really antsy because I was just waiting around. I thought I'd be auditioning every day. And even now, just with the way that it's changing with technology and everything, it's harder to get auditions and get yourself in the door and do all that stuff. So I've learned that I really have to get after it myself. And that helps me, because otherwise if I'm sitting around like on
Waiting
my hands, I'd get super antsy.
Yeah.
And I just can't do that. So it's like going to casting director workshops and meeting with people and talking, and then generating my own stuff.
So are you currently repped by a different agency out here?
Yes.
Cool. Which
Yes. I'm repped by Integrity.
Okay.
Integrity Talent.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're in Toluca Lake. They're super awesome. Susan Duff is my agent. She's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I know that you were recently in Criminal Minds.
I was, yes.
So tell me a bit about that.
Okay. That came from the casting director workshop. when I first came out here to do that stuff, that was a lot of what I'd heard, and I wasn't sure. Everything's kind of a gamble, and you go there and you do like a scene in front of them, and they either say great or they give you a couple of notes, and then that's it, and you don't ever really know. And so I did 2 casting director workshops with a guy named Scott David, who's the casting director for Criminal Minds.
Cool.
And then he just out of the blue called me, or I got pulled in from my agency, gave me a phone call and said that he had called me in for a specific role, and then I auditioned, and then I got it, which was cool. It's like to know that kind of effort, even when there's no like foreseeable future, anything guaranteed, that sometimes it does pay off.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so make sure you go to those casting director workshops,
for sure.
guys.
Connect Studios.
Is that what it was?
They're fantastic. They're in Burbank.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The part that you play in Criminal Minds.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so you are basically not the actual killer.
I'm not.
But you are.
I'm in the episode. I am in love with what they call the unsub, which is like the police terminology for the killer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so I've got a couple of scenes with her.
You're like, killed more people.
No, it's like I don't know that she's the killer is the sad thing.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually it just all kind of goes downhill from there.
Yeah, I heard there was some sort of a thing where you got like beaten over the head.
I did. I got a stunt double because I got they smashed on my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It was.
I mean,
it was
it's
super
not really cool.
No, I
but,
mean it was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
like watching them do that and figure that out.
Yeah, it was crazy. I would go up until my last line, and I'm like kneeling in front of this thing, and then they'd say freeze, and everything's still rolling, and then they're like, Mark, get out. And I'm like, I get out, and then the guy comes in dressed in all the stuff with his hair the same as me, and I have to like turn his face, and then they say action, and she just
like
bashed this thing on this guy's head.
That's right. So
yeah.
Please don't touch that.
I'm just making sure. I really think your father's somewhere else.
He's not somewhere else. He's right there, and I want to go home now.
Let's find someone who works here and ask him where he's buried.
He's buried right there, and I want to go home now.
But look, it says right here, Dorothy Carter.
So this was it was not glass. It's made of like
Yeah, it's like I don't know if I know sometimes they use like sugar glass. I wasn't sure if that. I think probably the same thing.
Yeah.
But it breaks a little easier. But still, it's like it's you get something hit on your head.
Yeah.
Way to do it like a couple of times. I felt bad for him, but that's just what he does.
He's a stunt double.
Yeah.
So that's his job.
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When you were working on that show, like how much preparation did you have to do for the part?
Well, I had like 4 or 5 scenes, and my acting coach out here, Richard Brander, he's fantastic, and he does coaching too anytime we have any stuff. So I worked on it with him, kind of figured out what I wanted to do with it, and go from there. And then a lot of it is feeding off of whatever I'm getting from the other actor, and then putting myself in that moment. And it's kind of exciting. You can prepare yourself up to a certain point, and then you kind of have to just let it go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah. How was the director working with you? Was it like
she
pretty
was awesome?
Chill or,
yeah, she was really cool. I've been very lucky to deal with really fantastic people in the industry, and her name's Bethany Rooney, and she's done a ton of television stuff. And it's nice when you're on the same page with someone. Like she'll say something, and like I immediately would pick up on it and be like, okay, all right, we both know, and we don't even really have to like say a ton.
That's great.
And television is a little harder because they really have to stick tight to a schedule.
Yeah.
So we move pretty quickly. Which is
totally
not like it's a ton of pressure, but it's like I should probably nail this.
It's not like a feature film type pace, I guess. Like where
sure, but I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, the feature that I did back in St. Louis, not that we had a ton of time or freedom to do stuff, but we got to try different things out.
Right.
And in fact, we tried like maybe different endings. We tried different things just because we had that scheduled block of time versus it being like you got to crank this out in 8 days.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were talking about that feature film. So what's happening with that film right now?
I'm not positive right now. I mean, it's weird to a certain extent being just like a professional actor and then that's it. Like a lot of times I've had input on the project as we go into post and we do whatever. And I haven't had anything to do with this one or with the Criminal Minds one, obviously. And so, I filmed and then I was done, and then we kind of stay in touch.
Yeah.
And then that's it. They have long-standing careers on Star Trek. We're just working on that, and so they're hoping to.
I could totally see you on Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it's canceled though. So.
No, I mean the movies. The movies.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
making more of
they're
those.
super cool.
So keep making them. So.
Yeah. Work with JJ and they'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. Right.
No big deal.
So
what's the name of the movie though? By the way.
It's called The Nameless. Well, that's the working title right now.
Okay.
It may change. But it was really fun because it's about an exorcism.
Oh, okay.
And it's about like the actual exorcism that happened that The Exorcist was based off of.
Really?
Yeah, and that happened in St. Louis in an area called Belle Noire.
It actually really happened in St. Louis.
But it was a little boy and not a little girl.
What?
So there's some weird stuff that happened for sure. And like a lot of it I'm sure is just mental. Like my manager, my manager and agent were like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I think so. It'd be fun.
We should have had like the set ready to like
Be,
sort of
like,
just like
spooky
move around a little
and shift
something.
around.
Yeah, something.
Next time. The scariest thing, I don't want to like give a ton away on the movie, but I was like very much in this scene, and so I was very focused on the actress in the scene.
Yeah.
And then like we cut and it was over, and then our sound girl, she did just like a double take and was like, "Did you hear that?" And we were all like, "I didn't hear it. I wasn't really paying attention to things outside of me." But the producer and the cinematographer were like, "Yeah, for sure." And they rewound on the playback, and like faintly but pretty distinctly you could hear a woman screaming.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So that was a little like, well, maybe we should just call a wrap
just
on today.
wrap, yeah.
Just go home. But
That's
I mean, other than that, it
crazy.
was like very like warm cast and loving, and there was nothing.
And you all survived, so
there was nothing
that's
weird. A
good.
couple of doors and things falling, but
Nice. Just a little
What
bit
are
of
you gonna do?
hauntingness.
method.
So
right?
so
I'm
this
all about
this feature has been submitted though, I know, for possible distribution.
They're in talks, I think, working with Paramount, potentially. I don't, like, none of that is official.
Right.
But then the short film is doing, like, the festival circuit right now.
Cool.
So we'll see. It won best screenplay, directing, and drama.
The short film.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
In the St. Louis Film Market.
And what was the name of that one again?
Under the Grove.
Under the Grove. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. Okay, good. And that's where you play the guy that has the accent.
Correct.
Okay,
like
cool.
the kind of like southern boot heel.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's good that it's, making the rounds in the festival.
For sure, and that is an entirely different game that I am really good friends with the director and the producers on that project, so I kind of get to see that start to happen.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and it's tough. You gotta get it out, and then they have all these press kits, and they're making it out of leather to like give it like this real feel, and
whoa.
Yeah.
Trying to get some people to notice.
To get it to notice, right? Exactly.
Yeah. What sort of stuff are you planning on doing next? Like, what are your next projects that you're working on?
Well, continue auditioning, playing all that stuff. It's been a little slow lately, but of course pilot season's going to pick up and do all that stuff. Although you and I were talking that is kind of changing too with the
With the
Hulus
whole
and the Amazons
everything.
and all of that stuff making their own content. So we'll see. And then I've also started writing. So
That's right, okay.
Yeah. My writing partner, who's actually also my acting coach, Richard Brander. We've finished 2 features.
Cool.
And we're in like development, trying to make the first one happen as a film before we start getting crazy and making more. Although we already have a third idea, and we're just kind of like on a creative vent right now. We're just gonna go after
great.
it for as long as we can. So that's been really fantastic too. It's helped that like crazy antsiness that sometimes happens out here, because you just have to wait for things to happen, and so to creatively do something else is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always better, at least from my experience, like when you see actors who are involved also with making things as well.
Right.
Because then you have something, you're actually doing something about it.
Correct.
Instead of just waiting for auditions to
Or waiting
call
for the
you
phone
back.
to ring.
Yeah, that's no fun.
That's the worst. Yeah. you
And
can't do
obviously it's way cool to make your own story, like,
that.
you know.
Yeah, and that's been an interesting process too, just figuring out, well, first how the two of us would write together, and then like finding that voice to do it.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I really hope you guys get those movies, like, going,
Yeah,
so
it'd be awesome.
you'll have
It'd
to
be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, it'd be able to help from like the behind the camera and maybe beyond camera, who knows, but to be able to do producing and learn like the entirety of the business from that side too would
Yeah.
be really awesome.
Yeah, I think it's very important to kind of know more about everything that's going on. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it helps you as an actor too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because then you can appreciate like why you're doing whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with Mark Holzum.
I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
All right, welcome back to the Red Booth Show. So we have Mark Holzum here, and he's been talking about his recent successes in acting here in Los Angeles. I was thinking that it would be really cool to kind of tell people who are coming here or who want to get going into acting, you know, what some tips are that you might have.
Okay. The best advice that it took me a long time to really understand, and I didn't really get it, is they said that you have to live a life here. Like, you need to, like, learn how to actually live here. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'll just do my thing, and I'll act, and that'll be fine. But because it is that waiting game that we were talking about, and then everything it just takes time to build networks and know people and do the work. You have to also, like, have fun occasionally and live and do stuff. And I took that to heart. I learned how to surf, which is fun. I almost died like my first 2 weeks. And then, what are you gonna do?
I still don't even know how to surf.
Oh yeah, even the Australia stuff.
No, I was little then.
Oh, okay.
But I boogie board. That's it.
It's kind of it's the same thing.
Not
It's
really-
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But like just finding other things that, you know, fill you. Mm-hmm. And so I've been lucky enough I teach yoga. And so that community, Core Power here in Los Angeles, has been
Huge.
just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can make money doing it. It's something that I really enjoy, keeps me in shape, and like it's very like-minded individuals that are, it's a very giving space, which is awesome.
So you're saying get a different job that will help you pay the bills.
Yeah.
Stay in shape.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
And then what about like, how do you think the best way to go about getting into acting?
into
Yeah.
doing stuff. You know, they say it all the time. People, you know, the advice is that you have to make your own stuff, and really, it's true. Really, it's true because it is giving you a creative outlet to do something. It's like establishing how to work within the collaborative process, and then you learn, like we were talking about, you learn all the different aspects of it, and so
Right.
then you become a better actor because you know what you need to get a good product. So like that's with my writing, and then I've also kind of started doing some comedy stuff with some friends, which is fun. It's just a completely different part of my brain.
Comedy, like you mean writing comedy or stand-up comedy?
Writing comedy, and then like
okay.
filming sketches. And
Oh,
stuff.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. I love that kind of
And
stuff.
and it's ridiculously fun to do because it's
Yeah.
me and like my 3 friends just
Yeah.
messing around. But then eventually we find something, and
Yeah.
we've got a really good editor and really good stuff, and so it looks good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh hey. We
Well,
can do this.
that's the whole YouTube route that a lot of people get into that way.
And that is no joke. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be some really good advice for some people. People just do YouTube, and that is their job, and they do
Totally.
and they do very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any stories about like auditions you've been to and what it's like and stuff?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It can be really frustrating because you study your butt off acting, and I've acted since I was 11 or 12 is when I did like my first show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I did To Kill a Mockingbird.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it felt right, and it was fun, and so I've studied and I've done all this stuff and whatever, and you learn all these different theories, and in class you like work really hard on like getting to places within yourself and,
Right.
and all this stuff, and
You
then
go there.
then you go to a commercial audition, and they're like, all right, now jog in place. Now like stop and like stretch. All right, now jog in place again. Smile. All right, thank you. All right, that's it.
Wow. And they're like, they're gonna call me?
But a lot of it, it's a job. You know, some of the best advice that I from like other actors and watching their stuff is Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad. He was just like, it is just a job. You go in there, you create whatever you think feels right to you. That might be right for the part, for anything. And then as soon as the door closes, you just let it go. And that's been really hard for me, especially when I was a younger actor, to give up on. I'm always like thinking like, what else could I have done, or other things, other choices, other whatevers, and it's like, it's done. I did my best. I was there, and you just have to let that go.
Cool.
Yeah, because then it helps with the other ones too.
Yeah.
Because if you're always worried about the things that happened in the past, then how are you ever going to be able to focus on what's in front of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you're always like, why didn't they call me? What did I do wrong?
Right,
then
and
you
it's
start, like,
and most of the time too, it's like because you have blue eyes and they wanted someone with brown.
yeah,
You know?
it's like they have a certain thing in mind and they're trying to fill it, and if
Sure.
you either are for that or you're not, and
Right.
you know.
Right. Like I did a commercial audition for Meyer, and the commercial auditions I use that audition as a thing. But actually, honestly, the commercials I've done have been pretty fun. You know, it's the same thing. You're on a professional set with working people that work really hard. And, but I got cast in that one because, I mean, I don't even know the exact details, but, you know, my family, we all had to look like each other. It doesn't even necessarily
Right.
mean we're the most brilliant actors in the world, but it's like, you all look kind of related.
Yeah.
Go.
You got the part.
Yeah, right, exactly. Congratulations.
That's cool. Was it a big commercial, like national commercial, or?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Paper, a couple of quizzes. Dinner, I don't know. Oh, love that. Send me the recipe. You too, Mom. Bye.
Okay, so you need some help still?
Well, I might need help already.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, what are you doing?
We're just sitting down for dinner.
It's funny. The Criminal Minds thing will be awesome because that's like my first real television thing and that kind of thing
Yeah.
being seen. And it's got an enormous fan base. I really had no idea. It's on its 10th season. Like
Yeah.
millions of people
No,
watch it.
totally. That's
Yeah,
a big series.
It's pretty cool.
And your show just aired, I think, last in November.
November 5th.
November 5th. That's
Yeah.
cool. Awesome.
Yeah. But the Meyer one, that was, I think, the first national thing that my family saw me on. Myers does like a ladies PGA tour tournament thing. And so my dad's a big golfer and he was watching and he was like, he was on the television. He had to make all the phone calls and do all that stuff.
Oh my God, Mark's on
Right.
TV.
Right, and that's funny too.
Did you get those calls?
Yeah. Yep, on all the Facebook stuff, and
Yeah.
it's that's interesting too, you know, because I feel like I'm also pursuing like a business, and I mean there's no ladder really to climb, and there's no really like structured thing to it, but it's very exciting to a ton of people, and oftentimes it's very glamorous, and other times it's just a lot of hard work getting into it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what sort of other commercials, or is that the only one that you've done, or? Okay.
I actually did some back in St. Louis, which was cool. Those are usually like smaller markets, but I got to do one for SeaWorld. That was like their, you know, Six Flags has like, what do they call it? Like the haunted thing,
Oh,
the
okay.
scary thing.
For
This was
Halloween?
like the SeaWorld equivalent.
Okay.
So I was like this hiker who I think I got eaten by a pumpkin man or something. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I know. I think that's like how it ended. It was just me walking and then being scared, and then they added like the special effects afterwards. So
How old were you?
I was like 19.
That's so funny.
Uh-huh.
So you actually got into acting really out in St. Louis.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that first play that you were in, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing that was a school play?
Haunted thing,
Oh,
the
okay.
scary thing.
For
This was
Halloween?
like the SeaWorld equivalent.
Okay.
So I was like this hiker who I think I got eaten by a pumpkin man or something. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I know. I think that's like how it ended. It was just me walking and then being scared, and then they added like the special effects afterwards. So
How old were you?
I was like 19.
That's so funny.
Uh-huh.
So you actually got into acting really out in St. Louis.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that first play that you were in, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing that was a school play?
I was like 11 years old when my family is very much film people, and we love going to the movies, and reading is, you know, everything. And so, you know, my little self would just like escape into these worlds and be so cool and learn all this stuff. And then one day I realized, like, I think it was Harry Potter or something. I was just, it's fake. It's all fake. And I was just crushed. I was just like, my world is over. And then my mom found an audition for like a community college, so Florissant Valley Community College. And then I auditioned, and I was Gem in it, and it felt right, just like the words coming out of my mouth. And so I didn't really get serious about it until high school, because I played sports and played baseball all the way through, I think, like my sophomore year.
Yeah, go Cardinals.
Yeah, I know. Well, unfortunately not this year.
Yeah.
We went pretty far. Sorry about the Dodgers.
I know. Yeah.
2 years in a row. What are you gonna do? But then in college, I kind of realized, like, I mean, you can make a living doing theater and doing stuff, but I think it's a lot harder to do. I mean, not that getting into film was a lot harder, but I think there's just more money and possibly more opportunity. So when I started getting into film and doing stuff, and I got repped with the bigger agency in St. Louis, and started doing smaller things with them, got to do my first feature and all this stuff, and it slowly just starts to build and take place in your head. So then every time you're on set again, it's better and better because you know. So I didn't come out here like totally fresh face, but I was pretty naive.
Well,
for sure.
You had some experience, definitely, at least in terms of doing acting and doing,
right,
your own projects out there and stuff.
Right. Although my method and stuff has changed a lot since I've been out here. I think it's just different.
Okay. Like what?
I don't know. Do you want to know about that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was always the kind of actor that I was like 1 foot on stage and 1 foot off. Like I was the character, but I was also like myself and aware of the thing. And I was like, method is dumb and, whatever. I didn't really get it. And so I started studying with Richard Brander, who he's a form of Sandy Meisner. He studied with Sandy Meisner, which is super cool, in New York. And so he's like taken a version of that, and it's really being present, letting it happen, and letting organic stuff happen. Like I always thought actors that were like, man, just like let it happen in the moment. I'm like, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. But now I've like really tapped into that thing where it's like you can prepare and you have all this stuff, but then like the real magic happens when you're like really having like something happen. Yeah. And it's super cool. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing your movie.
Me too.
Yes. And also, it's exciting that you were in Criminal Minds. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you'll get some more awesome parts like that coming up soon.
Hope so.
Yeah. I'm glad you got to come on the show and
yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a ton of fun.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Everyone should hear about, some of these little adventures,
Definitely.
Well, cool. Thank you for watching actor Mark Holzum on
The Red Booth.